Welcome everyone to Black Metal Legends 11. Today we have Brice Leclercq and he plays in a band called From Chaos. And you might know Brice because he was a member of Dissection. Back in the day, he played on the Rain Chaos album, he was on the Live Rebirth DVD as well, and he also spent some time playing live in Satyricon as well. And it's a great honor to have you on the channel.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here as well.
For
Thank you.
sure, yeah. So we were talking before, and yeah, just explain again like the kind of inspiration and the intent with the new project from
Yeah,
Chaos, and of course, like let people know like what's coming out and where.
yeah, sure. Uh, I had a quite early on. I had a vision on how it should sound. At least I didn't know what would come out of me, but I knew that I wanted to make something, create something very authentic, very raw, kind of a little bit like a rehearsal in a studio environment. Kind of that's the idea, like they did in the 70s, because they used to record live back then. We lost too much of that, I thought, and I had this vision that I wanted to make a very melodic, atmospheric, fast, but very diverse as well. I didn't want only fast parts, but very dynamic. And that's what came out of me for most of the time when I sat and was making my composing the demo. It was always that kind of music that came out. So, and then quite early, I think, I asked Yanni in February 23 if he was interested to join and to record the album and to record the album, the first album. And then he said yes right away because I had this vision and I heard the very fast drumming that would fit Yannis drumming perfectly, and I was very happy that he said yes. And then from that point, we tried to record in between his touring schedules because he's touring quite a lot. He's in the USA right now, and he was doing some festivals here and there. So in between, we tried to we had a few problems as well, technical problems. His sound card broke down, my computer broke down. We had a few months of delay, but he was very fast, and I'm very happy about the way he recorded. It went very smoothly. My idea was to make something authentic, raw, melodic, atmospheric, but at the same time, I didn't want to do a dissection number two. I wanted it to sound on its own. Dissection was John's band, and this is my band. So of course I'm influenced by Dissection because I love playing Dissection, and I love still today Dissection, and I love listening to it still today. And I loved playing in Dissection, so I got influenced by it. But I wanted to do my own thing, and I tried to do so. And that's what you heard.
Awesome. Because on a side note, I have heard the album and it does come out on the 18th of
That's
December.
right.
So I have heard the album in full, and I was just saying to Brice, like, I'm personally not the biggest Dissection fan. I've made that quite clear, but all of the bits that I like from Dissection's music are in From Chaos, but it's kind of ramped up. It's super melodic, and the songwriting as well because like contrast was a very big theme
Yeah.
in your writing. So
Yes.
what do you think about when you write a song?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Um, it's almost spiritual when I write music. It's like I'm in another state of mind. I kind of focus on writing, but not thinking about something in particular, and then let it flow. That's how I write music. And sometimes it goes as far as I don't even remember what I recorded. I need to, oh, what did I do? And I don't even remember what I recorded. So it goes that far. And then after I got the idea, I get the first laydown of a demo kind of thing, and then I rework the thing a lot or not at all. It depends. Some tracks I redid most of it. And some tracks were like from beginning to end, I didn't. It's more or less the same as,
Sure. And do you start off with guitar parts first or
yeah,
bass parts? Okay.
guitar parts first on this album. But now that I'm thinking about the next one, I have some riffs that are coming on when I play bass as well. So I might change this thing. But for this album, yeah, everything was composed on guitars first.
Gotcha. And
Mm.
is it more the case when you're writing that you just kind of, is it kind of like you hit record and you just play what you like, or do you mess around and have a few riffs in mind that you know work together? Like, what's like the full process really?
I sit down and start to play random stuff without thinking about a particular riff, a particular chord or note. And then when there is something that starts to, I'm starting to, oh, this is interesting. I dive deeper into it and start to play, over and over again until I get it right. When I get it right, either I find the next riff or I keep on making this thing longer and bigger, depending on the riff, on the track. Some track, actually, the intro was not meant to be an intro. It was meant to be a track, but I couldn't find any next riff, kind of next part, and I decided to use as an intro and make it work as on its own, and it worked perfectly as an intro then. So there's nothing written in the stone, kind of. I always do differently depending on how it comes and what comes, and most of the time it's the melody though, more than the chord, I would say. I get more, yeah, or an atmosphere. Sometimes it can be an atmosphere or the melody that get my attention, and then I work around it.
I see, yeah, because you do have those moments in the songs where you've got these long passages that just build up and build up and build up. Like,
Yeah,
what was the influence and the idea behind that, or was it just more a case like, oh, this sounds cool, it is. Let me try adding this other thing, and like, oh, this is cool now. Let me try adding some more. Is it the kind of just like trying to make everything bigger, or did you have that idea in mind already?
it came kind of naturally when I was writing it, but I kept adding a little bit here and there, but because I kept hearing when I was listening again to my demo tapes and stuff. I kept hearing an extra melody here and there, and I was thinking, hey, I might try to build it up until I like that kind of old school 70s, almost psychedelic uh, endings, big endings and stuff like Pink Floyd used to do sometimes, or little like prog bands. I'm not much of a Rush fan because of the voice, but yeah, Led Zepp had a bit of that. Black Sabbath sometimes when they recorded some more, yeah, experimental stuff. I don't know, old stuff, 70s. I would say 70s influences, most of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can definitely hear it because as soon as you mentioned like prog and atmosphere, my mind instantly went to Pink Floyd
Oh,
as
for
well, all
sure,
that kind of stuff. And
for sure.
is guitar or bass guitar your first instrument?
I started playing guitar when I was 14,
Mm,
15, and I switched to bass when I went to bass 2 years prior when I joined Dissection, so 2002 maybe.
hmm
I switched to bass because back then I played in a band called Night Rage. I don't know if you heard about it, but there were these two Greek guys, and one of them played with Ozzy Osbourne after, and it was Thomas Lindbergh from At the Gates singing.
hmm
And then I played with Nicholas Barker as well on the drums live, and me on the bass. And they asked me back then, and there were two great guitar players, if I was interested to record the bass on the album, and I said yes, why not? And once I was done, I just loved it. I just loved it more than guitar. Even back then, I didn't play much lead or solo. I liked only rhythm, so I was meant to be a bass player, I think, from the beginning. But when I took my guitar again last year, but it felt quite Yeah, I came back to the level I was at when I stopped. So he came back very quickly. It's like cycling almost.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah,
And was one of those guitarists, because as soon as you mentioned Greek guitarist and Ozzy Osbourne, was it Gus
yeah,
G
yeah.
that you
He
played?
was.
Oh, okay, all right. I had no idea that Nick, and this was with Nick Barker as well in Night
That's
Raid.
right. He played live with us, and then he was Per Jensen from The Haunted that play the drums in the studio.
Oh, no way, I had no idea about this.
Yeah,
I had no idea about Night Rage. That's kind of awesome.
and that was before Dissection. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
that's sweet. And one thing that I mention a lot on my channel is the importance of bass in black metal playing
oh yeah, oh yeah,
because it's
oh yeah, for
because
sure.
most bass playing is just do 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 do
Yeah,
do do do, and that gets so boring.
that's a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you approach writing bass in a black metal context?
Oh, I hear it, man. I'm like, John was like that. He was natural. You don't think, you just hear the stuff. When I hear a track, I hear the bass. It comes in my mind, and then most of the time, of course, it's because I've absorbed so many albums through the years that my brain is kind of, used to how to play a bass line. When I listen to music, and I listen to a lot of different styles of music, I always listen to the bass a lot, and I guess I absorb different influences. I mean, I listen to jazz a lot. I love Jaco Pastorius, for example. I listen to blues, to rock, to hard rock, to heavy metal. I listen to a lot of different things. I don't try to integrate this in my music, but I guess I get influenced by it, and then you can hear it through. I guess. I don't know. But I always recommend to my students when I teach bass playing to listen to as much music as possible, and I always recommend that. Even today, listen to as much music as possible, and then absorb it, and then you will start hearing stuff because your brain will be absorbing all this music.
Yes, I agree with that because some of the coolest bass playing was in the 70s.
Yes.
Two things came to the top of my head, which was Good Times by Chic. I
Yeah.
can't remember the bass player's name, but his bass playing
Awesome. Awesome bass player.
insanely good. And
Insanely good, yeah.
Michael Jackson's Get on the Floor.
Yeah.
That bass
Yeah.
and
It was good stuff, yeah.
so
In
musical.
in more in more metal stuff, you had Geezer Butler that was just killing it on the bass. He's one of my biggest influence on the bass. He's awesome in every level. I mean, he's good at the melody, he's good at the groove, he's good at putting the right lick at the right moment. I mean, the guy just has it all. And so I think my favorite album when it comes to bass must be Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. I mean,
Okay,
this
yeah.
album and the bass is just enormous. I think Giza said in an interview he doesn't even remember it, but uh,
Yeah, like I was thinking with Geezer Butler, I was thinking in I think it's Iron Man where he's just like Tony Iommi's going in and you've got Geezer doing like all of his do 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 all that kind of stuff and everything just locks in
yeah.
so well and
And the funny thing is, and he says it because I read this book,
yeah.
came out last year, and he plays a lot more notes during the solo. When Tony Iommi solos, he solos as well. He say, well, if he solos, I will as well on the bass. And it's like nobody else did that and does that even today. It's not, you let the guitar player do his thing, you know what I mean? You support it as a bass player. That's what most of us do as bass players. But not Geezer Butler. He played more licks during the solo than he did during the rest of the time.
Yeah, and that's what I love about his playing because I
Yeah.
listened I listened to the audiobook of his book.
Oh yeah,
And what I found fascinating was that he had an acoustic guitar,
yeah,
and it only had like two strings on it, and he couldn't
yeah,
afford any guitar strings, so he should just go do 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 do, and just play on the guitar like that. And
yeah.
then
At the beginning, yeah, the right at the beginning. The influence this guy had on bass playing, not only in metal, and bass playing in general, it's enormous, enormous. The influence he and Steve Harris as well. Steve Harris is
yeah,
still today. It's an enormous influence.
yeah,
Enormous.
I was just about to mention Steve Harris as
Yeah.
well.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
because of course,
Enormous.
like we can't ignore the contributions that he made to Iron Maiden. Like he wrote a whole bunch of the songs,
Oh, for sure.
everything, and even though Iron Maiden is based around kind of the same notes, kind
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
same.
I see what you mean. I mean, when it comes to when if you look at on Maiden's music, early on Maiden's music, on a theoretical point of view, it's very basic, very simple. Pentatonic stuff all the way and always the same thing. But because he didn't care back then, he didn't give a shit about it. And he said it. I don't care about scales, I don't care about this. And he just composed what he thought sounded good. But what impresses me the most with his playing is the energy he has. I mean, you feel when he records or live, it's like he's pulling the entire band, front. He's always a little in front of the beat all the time and like pushing, 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 pushing all the time. And it's like it's quite impressive. Uh, Not many bass players have that much energy in them to push an entire band like Maiden because they're all good. I mean, Nico is good and Adrian is awesome, and it's all very good. But still, it pulls everybody in. Yeah,
For sure, yeah. Like I was just thinking about Power Slave, the title track, because the
yeah,
bass is so present in there. It's like, dun, dun,
yeah.
dun. And what's also amazing about his bass playing is the percussiveness of it.
Oh, for sure.
It's got so much like kind of this like every note he plays like kind of dips and
Yeah.
every note feels like an ebb and
Oh,
flow.
yeah.
And I think part of that is down to the way he's finger picking as well. Like he's really
Sure.
giving it some.
Did you know that he was around Rebirth? Our Maiden's manager asked our manager if we were interested to open for Maiden in the UK.
No, I had no idea about this.
Yeah. And
Did
I was
it?
like, what did you say? What did you just say? And I was like, oh shit, man. Playing in front of Steve Harris would be cool, but at the same time, yeah, pretty stressful because he's the boss. That's how we call him. He's the boss. And but we couldn't do it because we had the European tour that was already booked and we had already paid for.
Oh,
And we would have lost too much money and we couldn't do it. We couldn't afford it. So we dropped the offer. But it's a shame. It's a shame, indeed.
that
It
would,
would have been a good combination, I think, because pretty melodic and tough, and yeah, it would have worked out quite
that's
well.
really interesting. Yeah, because that probably would have been one of the more extreme bands to open for Iron Maiden. Like I know bands like Machine Head have opened for Iron Maiden, Trivium, for example. I think Dragon Force as well. But to have like
Testament, I think, at some point. No,
possibly, I'm
maybe
not
the
too
90s.
sure.
You have to understand, Maiden in Scandinavia are like gods. I mean, they influence the music so much, and even the extreme metal bands, all of them, Necrophobic, Dissection. All the Swedish bands back in the days listened to Maiden and Thin Lizzy a lot as well. Very good band. And Priest and
Yeah. Do you think Iron Maiden's melodic nature may have influenced the kind of that melodic side of Swedish extreme metal?
of course,
Yeah.
and a lot, and by a lot. And I think many guys that are in extreme metal bands in Sweden right now would agree. I think so. John
Hmm.
was a big Maiden fan as well. I never say the other way around. I mean, he always liked old heavy metal stuff, and I think when they play in Gothenburg, they can fill a stadium in 30 minutes or something like that.
Hell
And
yeah.
yeah, oh yes, it's
Dude,
enormous every time, and
that's
they
insane.
know it. Niflheim brothers are the biggest Maiden fans as well.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it
I
does.
had a chance to see Niflheim, before they stopped. They put on a great show.
Oh, they're a great band. Great
It,
band. They're good friends of ours back then.
yeah,
They came to the rehearsal place a few times and great guys. And I really like Hell Butcher now as well. Great guys as well. I know some of them. And I think the drummer that plays in Hell Butcher was Tumas drum tech on the European tour.
all
So
right.
yeah, it's a small world, you know,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
for
And then I
sure.
guess that leads us nicely onto your time in dissection,
Yeah.
because what how because the thing is that like what I found is that you're originally of French born and heritage, but then
Yes.
you kind of grew up in Sweden. So so what's like the full timeline of like you kind of growing up and then getting into dissection? Yeah.
When I was about 5 years old, I discovered Billy Idol, Rebel Yell, and ZZ Top, Give Me All Your Loving on my father's stereo, and then something happened in me at this point. And from this point on, I started to be attracted a lot towards AC/DC's music and all that kind of first hard rock, and then heavy metal, and then thrash metal, death metal, a little bit. I was never a big death metal fan. And then black metal. When I heard the first time I heard a black metal album was Do Southern Light from Marduk, and Opus Nocturne was not even out back when I heard This Other Night. It was their latest album, and when I heard this album, something happened at this moment as well. And I thought, what the hell is that? And from this moment on, I was very much into that kind of black metal, Swedish, and then going deeper and deeper into the style, I discovered dissection, and when I heard it as well. I mean, I was all about. I always liked atmospheres a lot. I always liked the melody and with the atmosphere and the twin guitar stuff and the chords, and the entire atmosphere around the band. I thought was just magical, and then I was a fan. I loved it right away. When I was 19 years old, since I couldn't see myself doing anything productive in France, I decided to move to Seattle in USA, and I spent 1.5, 2 years there, where I just took some time away to think what I wanted to do and not do, and I decided to play music, but at a professional level, and then I decided to go back to Europe and move to Sweden, which I did. I moved to Sweden, and then I think it took me 2 to 3 years, maybe 3 years before I joined Dissection. And how I joined Dissection is because I saw on their website that I was free from Night Rage because it didn't work out. It was not my style. It was not my thing. So I left. And then I saw on the Dissection website that they were looking for a guitar player and a bass player. And I applied without thinking that I was going to make it. But I sent a tape, and 1 week later, John called me. He told me that he liked what he saw and heard, and that he wanted to talk. And so 1 week later, I went to Stockholm, and we talked a lot for many, many hours about everything. He just wanted to get to know me better. And then he told me that he had found Tumas and that he was working out very well, and that he wanted to audition and play. And he gave me 4 or 5 tracks to work on: Dead Angels, Thorns, and Unallowed. And then 1 week later, we met again, and then I played the audition. It went very well. I put my bass on Black Dragon the week after that. That was the last part of my audition. And then when I was in, it was in right after that. That's how I got into Dissection
All
from
right,
yeah
cool.
from the beginning.
I want to know if there's like a point in there in your story where it's about like building connections as well. So when you were in Sweden, were you also playing with other musicians and jamming around with some people there, or was it everything? Okay, so everything came from that audition tape. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not that kind of very sociable person. I don't have many friends, and I don't hang out with many people, uh, because that's the way I am. So I didn't have many connections. And it was the same thing with Satirica. I didn't know anybody in Satirica, and even after Dissection. I applied through their website again and asked if they were interested. And then they replied back to me and say, yes, we would like to audition. But it was the same thing. I didn't know anybody. Every time I got into a band, I didn't know anybody. I just applied like everybody else. And hopefully they liked it.
Cool, that's awesome, man. And then in Dissection, what was like the first job in Dissection? You know, after you're part of the band, was it like to do a show? Was it to like record live Rebirth, or was it like the writing process for Rain Chaos? Just talk about the timeline and
Yeah, sure. When I got in, it was maybe 2 months prior Rebirth. So we knew we had this coming. And John was, of course, it was a very big deal for him, and he wanted us to prepare on it, and we agreed on doing together a thing. Is that John couldn't come out more than every 15 days prior Stockholm, 1 month before Stockholm, I think, something like that. I mean, it was quite a long time ago. And then Thomas and I worked on our own, alone. And then together we rehearsed as well without John. And then when John came out, we rehearsed all together. And then if there was anything that he didn't like or whatever, we would work on it. But most of the time, Thomas was very, very picky. I was also very picky. So most of the time it just went very, very fast, and John didn't have any much to say. We just adjust tempos a lot. Before Stockholm, it was a lot of work around, because dissection music back in the days, I mean, the tempo was all over the place. There were tempo changing everywhere, and we tried to make it a little more pro sounding, a little more, for Rebirth, and so we worked on that until Rebirth, and plus we had the 2 months tour that was starting right after Rebirth. So we were preparing the show and the tour. And then after the tour, then we focused on Re and Chaos, and we rehearsed a lot of Re and Chaos before entering the studio. I think it was in February, March 2005, something like that. And it didn't take us so long to record it as well, because we were well prepared. Thomas, I mean, it didn't take more than a week. I took maybe 2 days. John didn't take much. I mean, it didn't take that long. And then I left the band. So after that, I don't know.
Sure, gotcha. And I don't know, like, what was the emotion like when you were, growing up, listening to Dissection, then like joining the band and playing with the guys? Like, how did that feel?
First, very weird, but
Mm,
very quickly things. I mean, John was not the kind of guy that would put pressure on you.
mm.
Even during the audition, he was like, "Man, take it easy. We're just rehearsing, Just play and have fun, And he was not pushing or putting pressure on me. So it felt quite natural very quickly. And even when I was done with after the first track, I asked John what he was thinking, if he liked it, and he told me, "Yeah, just like a glove, man, just like a glove. Keep on playing." And just it just worked out. So of course, at the beginning, it's a little bit impressive when he calls you, but he was so down to earth kind of guy that he was very easy to feel comfortable with his company.
For sure, yeah. And can I go through a couple of Dissection
Sure,
guitar riffs with you? Because there's a
sure.
few things that I've seen a lot of people do in guitar covers, which I know is wrong, but
Oh yeah.
I just want to get like some.
I've seen many covers of Dissection, and I don't think I've seen one cover that was right, either on the drum or the guitar or the bass.
Yeah,
There's always something.
because the main things that I wanted to go over were some bits of the Somber Lane. Because you've got like the intro, which is
Yes, I added a bass part there. If you
mm,
listen to the live reverse and listen to the album, you will see that there is no bass on the album. And I was like, yeah, why there is no bass? She told me, I don't know. I was 16 years old. What do you think? And I was like, okay, should we try? Maybe. And we tried, and it sounded. I mean, it was low. I didn't want it, because
Mhm.
but it worked out. And there's some bass on this intro, on the reverse, but not on the album.
Gotcha. And then what did you play? Which part was it on the bass? Was it the?
The just the root note.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, I see, I see. And the main thing is that I've seen and heard a lot of people get wrong is the verse riff. Uh,
Yes. Yes, that's correct. Because I play it on the bass as well.
yeah, because a lot of people do this. They move down
Yes.
the whole chord, but
Yeah.
it's really just that one finger.
That's right. There are many subtleties in John's playing, and he didn't think much of it. John was a natural player. He just came out of him like this. I mean, of course, he worked on the stuff and make it sound good, but he couldn't make the track in one evening. No
Mm,
problem.
gotcha. Yeah, because that was one thing that I found with his music. It was just very kind of free in a way,
Yeah.
kind of liberated
Oh
in
yeah.
a sense.
Oh yeah. I think he's probably the guitar player that was in the black metal scene the more not black metal.
Yeah.
He has a playing that is very special and very Jones like.
Mm,
And it's very difficult to imitate it. And I think that's why it's very difficult to play dissection music live or covers. It's because he's very, very difficult to imitate. I think his
mm.
playing was unique, and I mean, I'm grateful that I had him as kind of a mentor or whatever for my music now. I mean, I'm grateful, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. My band back in the day, we used to cover the Somber Lane.
Oh yeah,
And whenever we played it, there was something, the reference that I used to learn the song was their Live in Wacken
yeah.
performance, the 1997 one. So I used to watch that a lot, and I tried to pick up on some of the intricacies.
He was shit hangover when he did this gig. Did you know that? He told me one day. He told me, "Do you know that?" No. He told me, man, I was not feeling well when I did this gig. I really wasn't. And I told him, man, you don't seem like it at all.
That Wacken performance is my favorite dissection performance
Oh yeah, yeah,
from
it's
what I've
very
seen. But I used to watch like the video quite a lot, and I tried to pick up the.
yeah. He had a very unique way of picking as well. A little bit like if his hand was a lot like James Hetfield. The way he held the pick and the way he picked was a lot like Hetfield.
What with like three fingers? Like he held the pick with three fingers.
Sometimes he had a weird way of holding the pick, and the way he picked was he could pick very well and he was very make pop out a little note on a chord very very easily. He had total control with his right hand and a very good vibrato as well. And
Yeah, yeah, because speaking of his vibrato, it's the this bit in the somber lane, the
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
you know,
I see what you mean. Mhm.
yeah, that just making that note sing out a little bit more, and it's these little
Oh yeah,
little pieces of musicality that I think we need to emphasize a bit
I
more,
mean,
especially with the extreme music, because the thing is with extreme music, it's so kind of packed, in a mixed context, in like the writing context, there's so much sound going on and so many notes all over the place that
for
sometimes
sure,
it's hard to not only pinpoint these
yeah,
subtle articulations, but also it's hard to appreciate them when they do
for sure,
appear because it's like they're there, then they're gone.
that's right.
And I think it's like good to just kind of letting things breathe.
The thing is, I try to do similar, but not exactly the same. But the dissection sound didn't have much distortion.
Mm,
It was very clear, and I think John was very aware of the fact that if he had too much distortion, people couldn't hear the subtleties and nuances and here and there that he would do. I tried to do this with From Chaos as well, not to have too much distortion. I wanted the thing to be clear to the ear and that people would really get into the music and really understand what I was playing.
Mm.
And plus, I wanted it as a statement because I think it's modern black metal, metal, extreme metal. It's way too polished nowadays, way too clean or clinical even. I mean, there is no feeling, there is nothing in it, and I wanted it to sound a bit like it used to be. Instead, I'm not against new stuff, you know. I'm not against it, but as long as it doesn't take down the musicality of the thing, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
agree, 'cause especially with guitar tones, like
yeah,
I don't personally I don't like it when there's too much gain either because of the
no,
same reasons. You can't you want there to enough gain for the
yes,
sound that you want, but the thing is the
yeah,
more gain you use, the harder it is for notes to sing out and be
for
clear.
sure.
And when with the dissection, what because I know you guys use like Gibson guitars, like
Yeah,
almost exclusively,
yeah,
and it was Marshall amps, wasn't it?
yes.
Which ones? Was it like the JCM 2000s?
I think since I was the bass player, I did. I think it was 800 or 2000. I don't remember. I remember Ian Chaos was a mix between 5150 and Marshall.
Hmm.
This I remember. But live we used Marshall only because there was so much a part of dissection sound. Gibson in the Marshall has especially Les Paul has a vibe, has a sound, and that was so much a part of dissection identity kind of that we had to keep that.
Yeah, because I got very, very close to a dissection like guitar tone. Oh, I don't have the guitar with me out at the moment, but it's a Dean V, pretty much the same scale length, pickup style construction as those Gibson Flying Vs.
Oh yeah.
A little bit different wood and a little bit different output on the pickup. But you run that through a JCM 2000 and you set the EQ just right, and you
Yeah.
get very, very close to what.
In front of it, there is I mean, it was a metal zone, but set very low.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the secret of that the gates. That's the secret of dissection. It's a metal zone in front of a Marshall, but then the settings are what makes the sound. And there is not much. I remember there is not much distortion set on the pedal. There was not, but it
Oh,
gives this extra, you know, bite that you need.
gotcha. And
And,
it was just
and then the only thing John and even Seth used live or even in the studio was I mean maybe on Rain Chaos they used some wah pedals for this some of the solo I could hear, but most of the time it was a chorus pedal and metal zone in the Marshall. That's it.
gotcha. And that's just a regular metal zone running through the front of the
Oh yeah.
Marshall.
Oh for sure.
Gotcha. Okay, okay. That's awesome. Didn't also John swap to EMG pickups for a little while?
Rain Chaos, yeah. For Rain Chaos, I mean.
Okay, cool.
I don't think so. I don't remember about it. But for Rain Chaos, yeah, he switched to EMG active there. I was a little skeptical, I must say, first, because I was like, man, don't change the sound, you know, don't change the sound. But you know, when John took a guitar and plugged it into an amp, it sounded like John. So it didn't matter if he had a 5150, a Marshall or whatever. It sounded like him.
Do you know what inspired the change from the Gibson pickups to the EMGs?
No idea. I think he wanted to try something new with this album. I mean, in many levels, even with the style. And he said many times, if it's to make another Storm of the Light's Bane, I'd rather quit today. He said it many times. I'm not interested into that. I want to do another album, but something different, another chapter kind of.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I totally understand that because there's it's nice to make the same album twice, but it's like part of you as a musician is to try new things and have new ideas and record those new ideas, to show. And of course, it's like, from the time when Storm of the Lightsbane came out to Rain Chaos, like Rain Chaos was 2004.
It came out in 2006, I think, but it was made in 2005.
Gotcha. Yeah, and Storm of the Lightsbane was 80. No, sorry, 98.
Yeah, on 87, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like well, basically, it's nearly 10 years from where it left off, and in 10 years, your tastes change. Sometimes your playing changes, your approach to music changes as well. So it's a kind of just a natural evolution of sound. Like if I'm thinking to like the stuff that I was recording 10 years ago, there's no way I'd be playing the same way now.
Yeah, I understand that as well. I mean, you evolve as a musician and you evolve as a listener, and of course you want your band to evolve as well. And plus, it was a big comeback for John, and he didn't want to be part of the black metal scene anymore. He
Hmm.
didn't like the way it turned out. He didn't like the way it was, so he wanted to do his own thing. It took more courage to do that than to embrace the black metal scene, because if he would have done a Storm of Iceberg #2 and like everybody else was, like everybody was
Hmm.
wanted to hear, it would have been easy, but there's no, that was not what he wanted. I think he wanted to take another step and push it further
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
emancipate himself from the black metal scene that he didn't. Yeah.
because this is one thing that has happened and can happen is like what you do becomes too much of your identity and then you lose yourself in it.
Mm,
And then that can be kind of for some people it's been destructive, or some people they just can't get out of this kind of teenager mentality. That
it's
makes
true.
sense. And
It's true. It makes sense.
that was one of the reasons why I felt like I needed to like step away from it as well, because I need to
Mm,
think about like if because it got to a point where my band was basically my identity.
yeah,
And then, I took some time to think and I was like, hang on, there's so much more to my
for
life,
sure.
more that I can do than just the band.
For sure.
And then your mind just kind of opens up and it's kind of like, okay, I've kind of thought of myself too much in one way when I'm more than just this. And I think that's a very, very powerful thing to self-reflect on
For
as
sure.
well.
I
'Cause-
reflect when I quit Dissection. It took me 3 years to take my bass again and play again. It
oh,
was
wow.
such yeah. It was a hard decision, and it was a tough decision, but that's the decision I took back then. That's the way it was. Of course, you reflect on what you want to do and don't want to do anymore, and such. But then it comes back after a while, and you start playing again.
What made you want to leave Dissection?
Oh yeah, mostly was the main choices when it comes to management, when it comes to label, when it comes to even studio or producer or whatever. I wanted me and Chaos. I would have liked me and Chaos to be recorded in another studio, and like with an external producer that would push us a little harder, maybe. I was thinking as well that maybe it would have been better back then for Dissection if we would have signed on a label, because we were not business-minded people. We were just musicians playing music, and we did it well, I thought. But we couldn't handle this business side of things. So for me, if we wanted the band to work, we needed to have this kind of people around us, professional people that takes care of the business side of things. And that was not what John thought. And when he decided to go and do the album on his own, I jumped up because I knew he was going to go to hell. And that's what happened.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, he went bankrupt after some time. That's logical when you're not, when you're not, when you're a musician and you're not thinking business so much. And none of us were that kind of persons. So some musician can handle, and I've met some, the business sides of things very well. I mean, Laceration Metallica is a very good example. I mean, just the guy took care of business from day one, and he does it very well. But we didn't have that kind of person in Dissection. We just knew how to play music.
Hmm.
And for me, it was the only way to make it was to have that kind of people around. But that's the way it was.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's another really important thing as well because it's like if you do choose to be a full-time musician,
Yes.
it's extremely difficult because you've got to think. Because that's the thing, it's like it's not like how it was in the 80s. Like this kind of music especially doesn't pay the bills or anything.
No,
And
doesn't
the
it?
thing is, if you're like it's so easy to get lost in the playing, but ultimately, like if you've got to treat like, and this is mainly to like the audience really, like that you've got to treat your band like a business in some way. Making sure that you're getting paid for
You
shows,
need,
trying
you
to
need
get some kind of like
for sure.
cash flow, I guess.
That's right. And when you play at a certain level like Dissection did back then, it's very important to have the right people around because there are plenty of not so good people that will try to rip you off and will try to steal stuff from you. And it happened to Dissection, of course. That was the main thing is it got ripped out by nuclear blast. At least John thought so, and he didn't want to go back to that. He was a little bit, yeah, you know, sick of that kind of behavior, and that's why he wanted to do it on his own. And I understand better now, I must say, than I did back then. This point of view, because I have the same point of view with From Chaos now. It's not the same period of time. I mean, it's been 20 years in between, and now labels are not, I don't really see the point anymore. You see, I mean, as long as you promote yourself, it's not very, it's not like it used to be. And, but I understand the freedom you can have when you're on your own is quite, yeah, rewarding and you're grateful when you don't have to answer to anybody and you do the way you want to do it when you want to do it.
I agree, and even on like a business side as well, it's like, if there
Yeah,
is a sale, then more or less 100% goes to you.
that's right. That's
And
right.
whether it's through a label, it's a very, very small percentage that actually goes to you.
That's right.
Like that's just cash wise, and it's like you said, like if you're able to promote yourself and get your name out there, especially with like social media and stuff, it's like it
The-
can do so much for you. Like just take this channel for example. It started from me just like playing guitar and like making silly videos, and I was like, okay, let me actually show people how to make some riffs and how to
Mm,
make their own music. And if I hadn't
yeah,
started doing that, then
I
none of the
understand.
cool stuff would have happened now. So it's like
I understand.
it's it's really important, I think.
Once upon a time, a few years ago, labels were like a little bit like a bank, or like, okay, we're interested, so we're gonna loan you money, so you can record the album, and then you would record the album, and then they would recoup the money afterwards, and then so on in every album, and but nowadays you can record yourself at home. It doesn't cost that much anymore. So there is not this, there isn't, it's different. It has evolved in different way. I don't know if it's worse. I don't know if it's because there was pretty shitty things happening back then. I mean, stories about bands getting ripped off. It's tougher in a way, but at the same time, you have some more freedom and you're able to do your own thing on your own, more or less, like I do now with my band From Chaos. I couldn't do it the same way 20 years ago. Not at
Mm,
all.
yeah, and let's talk about the recording process
Sure.
from Chaos, because I forgot to I wanted to ask you about this before, but what's your setup and what was like what studios or what locations were used to record the album?
Everything was edited here at my home studio. But the drums were recording at Yannis' studio. He has a little studio next to his house where he records drums. And then he sent me over all the stuff, and then I edited them in my computer and mixed them and mastered them, did the mastering as well.
Oh,
I'm not
right.
totally done with this, by the way.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, that's the way it was. So everything was recording in my home studio. I used an Orange
Mhm.
on the guitar. I mean, it was either Marshall or Orange. I wouldn't, because that's what I'm attracted to. A Super Crash 100 with a distortion pedal in the front of it. And then that's a little cooler. On the bass, a transistor SVT old-fashioned amp, and that's a SVT 350 that I found not so far from where I live, and I found it secondhand, so I wrote to the guy, and it happened to be the old amp from the bass player in a band called Magma. It's a French man that mixes jazz with stuff, and Robert Trujillo from Metallica is a big fan, and it's very musical. It's weird, very strange music. But that's the bass amp of the bass player that used to be in Magma, which
Awesome.
was really, really a coincidence, really, really. And then everything was recording when it comes to the drums at his little studio in the middle of the forest where Yanni lives.
What was the pedal that you used in front of the orange?
It was dark matter, TC Electronic dark matter.
Ah, okay, okay. I've not used one of those myself.
Yeah, no, it's not many have used it. The thing is, I've tried even to use a more modern thing, and I've sent everything back because I really didn't like it. I didn't find myself in it. And when I heard this pedal, I thought that it sounded just like the old school 70s, 80s, more 80s heavy metal kind of sound. And that was exactly what I was looking for. Of course, after I adjusted a little bit, but that's what I used there. And
Hmm.
I use this pedal in the front of my Ampeg as well. I think the combination of both, just of course it's not the same amount of distortion on both, but both on both amps and for both things it works very well. I had other pedals that I tried, but it didn't work out. I tried a dark glass. I don't like dark glass stuff. I don't find myself into it, and I tried the other pedals, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the sound. I studied sound engineering in Sweden, if you want to know. I have a license in sound engineering that I passed after dissection, actually. I studied 3 years in north of Sweden, and that's where I learned all the sound stuff.
Sweet. And what guitars did you use for the album?
It's a cheap replica of Gibson Les Paul, of course, with active pickups. I might use something else because I had some problems with the tuning. It didn't hold the tuning
Hmm.
like I wanted to, and so I will switch, I think. But I'm not that picky with the guitar. I'm first the bass player, so I had the thing in mind that I wanted a Les Paul sound more than a Strat or an Ibanez or whatever.
For sure. And what about the bass?
Bass, I used the Sterling by Music Man that I always use on the entire album, and through the Ampeg and through Maple.
Yeah. And those Sterlings are really cool sounding as well.
Oh, they are great, man. They
They're
don't. I mean, I play very hard. You know, I'm a hard bass player, and sometimes I really. I mean, I used to break strings with Satiric on every gig almost, and or even the picks. I used to break them all the time, and I play very hard, but this bass hold just perfectly, very very well, and it's very well built and solid, and it sounds it grows. It has a growl in it that I like.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You've got this kind
Yeah,
of sound to it. When you run it, when you put like a little bit of like a distortion, make it to sound a bit proper
that's
like
right. If you put that in a 8x10 cabinet with a SVT 350 and a little distortion pedal, you're all set. You
yeah,
can play whatever.
yeah. And I love those SVT amps as well because you've got your regular like circular EQs, and then you've actually got like the actual
Equalizer.
that's one, yeah, the actual equalizer, the band EQ as well. So if you just want that little bit more, because when it comes to bass tone, I kind of I really like Mayhem's Chimera bass tone
Okay. Okay.
because that's got a really kind of not so much rat. I call it like tanky. You've got a lot of
Yeah.
like attack on the bass, and it's not
Yeah.
too bassy. So I kind of go for that kind of level of attack. You know, kind of the up.
Because you're a guitar player.
a little bit, but I also like that, like the kind of
Bass player tend to go to the lower sound. We love when it's low.
yeah.
And guitar player tend to have mid-range, kind of attracted to mid-range, and singer to higher. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, and that's why I kind of add in, just enough low end so it covers that part of the spectrum that the
Yeah.
guitars can't get to. But I just love that kind of that initial attack with
I
that.
like to when I mix bass or even more bass than guitar, I like to, and on drums I do it as well. I like to split in different channel and have the lows on one channel. Sometimes I even have the mid range on one channel and the high register on the other, and then blend them and try to find the right combination. Yeah,
Gotcha, because I noticed the actual sound of from Chaos and on the album,
yeah,
it's so warm and
yeah,
very, very rounded that there's
yeah.
no kind of a lot of the tones in music and especially in extreme metal now has this very, very mid-focus sound.
Yes,
And it's and everyone's kind of got this very similar guitar tone and this very, very similar drum sound, this kind of
yeah.
like and very similar kick sounds as well.
That's what I found very ironic. We used to have labels. And back then, I remember in the 90s, I mean, bands had one idea. It was not to sound like the other band. They wanted to do their own thing. I mean, Enslaved, Martyr, and Dissection, they all had one mindset, do their own thing. And nowadays, it's the other way around. Everybody, I mean, there are no labels anymore, so nobody's telling you what to do. But at the same time, I mean, there are labels, but they are not telling you so much what to do, but bands tend to have all the same sound anyway, which is very strange for me to understand because it's now that you have the freedom to do whatever the fuck you want. So do it. And I didn't want to sound like everybody else. And I know and I knew that I'm sure there will be plenty of people saying that it sounds like shit because it sounds different. That's the way it used to be in every Dissection album. John told me every album we put out, the critics didn't like it every time. So don't bother. Do your own thing the way you like it and the way you feel it, and then
Yeah, for sure. Like that was one thing that was cool about the From Chaos sound is that everything sounds as it is. It doesn't sound like anything's been tampered with at all. Like that's like the sound of the drums is pretty much just the sound of what was recorded with a few with the with some level of panning and
yeah,
tiny touches of compression and reverb and stuff. But that's pretty much how a recorded drum kit sounds. And
yes,
I also like the sound. I also kind of like it that the drums are a little bit distant,
yeah,
kind of the mix. And because normally like now the drums are like so far forward, like they're so close sometimes. So it was nice to have that as well, and it really kind of made like what's the easiest way to explain it? Like say for example a modern death metal band.
yeah.
That's kind of like being next to the piece of gear, for
Yeah.
example. So with the
I know
drummers,
exactly what you mean. I mean, modern sounding gent stuff, whatever. It's like you have it here. It's like 2 centimeters from your face. I know exactly what you mean.
but with the your sound, it's like all right. Let's just take like a hall, for example.
Mm.
Got the drum kit right at the back, and you've got the guitars a lot closer to where you are. And I think that gives it such a more of a scope in the sound, and it really
Mm.
helps like kind of add so much more air and space to the sound. And that's what I
Okay.
really liked about the sound of the production as well. And I also
Okay.
like the fact that it's kind of garagey is not the right word, um, but it
Authentic, raw.
yeah
That's
it's
what
got that it's got that
I
raw.
was going for that raw, authentic. I didn't want it over processed. I didn't want it clinical. I wanted it living and then raw and authentic. That
Mm,
was right from the beginning.
yeah, I think honest is another way of putting it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's as the sound as it is.
As I look back on the dissection legacy and what John left, you liked or you didn't like, but he was honest with what he was doing. You know what I mean? It was authentic and honest. So I wanted also to bring a little bit more of that because I don't see enough honesty and enough authenticity in nowadays metal, and especially extreme metal. If you play good music, look at Dissection. We didn't have much going on, and we didn't need to. But of course, it's not the same period of time, and now people tend to want to have a show, and they pay expensive tickets and so on and so on. I understand that, but not too much. I mean, I see stuff that are way over the top. I mean, the guys don't even look a bit like they are on stage, and off the stage. I don't think it's normal. I think you should be yourself on stage and off stage, and assume what you're doing and what you are.
No, I get that as well. Putting your own self out there as well, and I find
Yeah,
that
that's
sometimes,
right.
like, I don't mind it when a band's like got a bit of like paint and blood and stuff because it kind of
Oh,
amplifies.
I don't mind either, but it has to be done in a certain way. Dark Throne is a good example on how it should be done, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Very,
I agree with that as well because
yeah.
after speaking to Nocturne Occulto,
Oh
it's
yeah,
I think it's just like they do it because they want to do it. It's like there's
for sure.
nothing
And
else
you hear
behind.
that. And
Exactly.
that's honest. That's authentic. Those people are honest and authentic, for example.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
right.
And yeah, and it's just like as long as you're honest about what you're doing, and not pretending like you're some
That's right.
satanic evil god kind of thing or a
Right.
demon incarnate, then it gets a bit like it's like yeah, like cool. You've got like the stage thematics, but it really is I'm beginning to enjoy it now when there's less smoke and mirrors and more kind of honesty with
Yeah.
more authenticity with the playing. And I think that's a good transition into Satyricon.
Sure.
Oh, because like Satyricon, when you see them live, just a little bit of like paint around the eyes, that's cool. And then when they go on stage, it's like, yeah, let's just play some fucking music.
I can tell you that. Satirican works, but they work a lot. A lot. I mean, they work a lot. They rehearse a lot. And it's a lot of work. A lot more than with Dissection. Dissection was all, I wouldn't say rock and roll, but it's all natural. It just came out. And Satyricon is it's worked. You work to be there. And so it was very different to play in both bands, and not much in common because it's not at all the same drumming, and I'm a bass player. Thomas played very, I don't know how to say, but he didn't play that hard, but with many things. Frost is always playing very hard, and so you follow on the bass because as a bass player, I think you should follow often the drummer and the way he plays. And that's what I try to do. So I play very hard. I played with, I think, 110 or 115, but I broke the E string all the time. And yeah, and I use Fender heavy picks. So, and I always use those
Yes,
the only pick I used, and I used to break them also quite a lot. So I had to have shit loads on the road.
sure, yeah. And the Satyricon kind of working environment, what was your general week when you were playing with Satyricon? Like, were you based in Norway at the time, or were you traveling from Sweden to
No,
Norway?
I was traveling from Sweden to Norway at the beginning, since I hadn't played for many years, and I just had taken my bass again. So I told you after Dissection, I didn't play for 3 years. So I was a little rusty, and then and so when I got in Satyricon, Frost and I rehearsed alone quite a lot, almost every week. We did 1 to 2 days rehearsal, but just him and I, because, and that's understandable. They thought that the rhythm section needed to be very, very, very tight, and I was a little rusty, like I told you. So I came up to the level after a while, and then he worked just fine. But so maybe for a month or so, we 1 or 2 months we rehearsed only Frost and I, and then the entire band. Besides Satya that didn't come all the time, but then the rest of the band we would rehearse every week, every weekend or so. Prior to the tour, we would maybe do twice a week or so, if I remember right. But I came in a band that was already very touring very much, and they had a lot of rehearsal behind them, so they didn't need to rehearse that much compared to me, that was the new guy. And then I took the place of, I came in Satyricon after Victor. Victor plays with Dev Gohil. When
Oh,
we met, yeah, we
okay.
met, we met once in Gothenburg, him and I. We were friends on Facebook. He's a good guy, and we talked a little bit of Satyricon and stuff. And he played on The Age of Nero as well. That's him that recorded the bass.
Oh no, I had no idea. And this is
Yeah,
Dev Gohil's current bass player.
yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
wow. Okay, cool. That's a small world, man. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, it is.
So with the working environment in Satyricon, it was definitely a lot more kind of, I would say more intense, let's say, because it seems a lot more focused.
Yeah,
Um,
focused. Not that we were not focused with dissection, but dissection was like natural. It didn't feel like we were forcing ourselves to do anything. It just came. Thomas had a certain level. He worked for months prior, and then once he got the level, John was John, and me, I worked on the beginning. But then once we had the thing rolling, it was rolling. Sometimes we didn't even rehearse before we played festivals. It was at that point with dissection. It was we could play without rehearsing, and it was nobody would notice. Satyricon was much more rehearsals and harder, yeah, more
mm.
you know strict kind of way of doing things.
See, I'm kind of like with my band, let's take like the recent show that I did, for example. So we got in, we flew over Frank Skilpero, who is the drummer for God Dethroned, and he also plays live in Incantation as well. Because our drummer couldn't do the show, so because that's the thing, like out of like the band, we had to get a bass player for the show. I hadn't played a show in over 2 years, and it was a similar situation with the guitarist at the time. So it was like the first show back after 2 years, and a little bit of backstory. So the last show my band did was in 2022, and
Okay.
then I left the country for a little bit, and then I came back, and then we just did the show earlier on this month. So like over 2.5 years of like not playing in the band or
Yeah.
rehearsal
Yeah.
environment, I was kind of like, okay, so so I got it all mapped out. So Frank landed on the Thursday. We had a rehearsal for 3 hours on Friday and the Saturday and the gig. But I'm much more in the case of like if if we have one rehearsal and that rehearsal goes really well, then I think we're okay. But I'd still rather have a rehearsal before the show or like a week before that time frame just to
Yeah.
make sure it's all kind of just
Yeah.
standing
Make
together.
sure.
Yeah, and did the Dissection or Satyricon ever use click tracks for live shows?
Oh yeah, the dissection
Okay,
for sure.
sure.
Oh yeah, satirical. I don't think so. No, but dissection for sure. Thomas used the click track all the time,
Hmm.
and it was like a metronome. The guy played the same thing every day, and it was very easy to play with.
Yes, and that was going to be my next point because I found because before, so I first started playing in like extreme bands in 2011. And then it wasn't until 2016 we got a drummer in who was like, "Hey, let's play the click tracks." And I
Hmm?
was like, "Yeah, cool." Because we tried to get it done before, and then it was kind of like, "Okay, yeah, we've got a new drummer now. Let's actually do click tracks." And I found that to be one of the most helpful things not even like in the rehearsal and even just the band environment because it's like
Okay.
you can just play along and practice to the click track of the drummer. So
Exactly.
whenever everyone's together, even if it's just the drummer having the click track, it still feels 100% natural, and that speeds up, I think, the amount of rehearsal needed.
Sure. I think he trained. Yeah, I remember Thomas trained to play along with the click even during the rehearsals as well. not only live gigs.
Mm.
But some people say that the click would kill the inner kind of beat or whatever you have, and some drummers cannot really cope with it. As I think it's you're either one or the other. Often, either you like it or you don't. Thomas always liked, and he worked so hard to make all the tracks kind of,
Mm.
better sounding when it came to tempos and stuff. Yeah, he
Mm.
worked a lot on that, and I really liked how we played Soul Reaper, for example, and the tempo and stuff. I really liked how he did the drums on this.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And after using click tracks as a band, I've found I prefer it a lot more because it's kind of some ways a lot more predictable. Because if you're playing with a drummer that doesn't play click track, a part of your mind has to focus a lot on what the drummer's doing.
Yeah,
With the click tracks, you kind of can just focus a bit more on what you're doing and really giving it some.
and unless you kind of getting aligned with the drummer's beat and in your beat, as a bass player, I feel this thing a lot, and drummers and bass player are kind of, the idea. I think without us talking about it much, Thomas and I understood quite early, at least I did, that we needed a very solid rhythm section for John to do what he wanted to do on top of it, and that was the idea back then, and I think we managed to do that though. And then John didn't think much of the bass, didn't think about the drum, he just played,
Mm.
and I did the same. I really never had to, kind of turn around and like, what the fuck did he do on the drum, not at all. He was always very, very steady, and every day was very, never had any surprise when we played either on rehearsal or live with Dissection. Never.
Sure. But what about like good surprises, like where the drummer just does like an insanely cool fill?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's the good shit.
I'm gonna give you a thing. In Sunderland, just before the last part, there is a moment where John stays like this,
Yeah.
keeps on. Well, this thing was not planned, man. He just improvised it, man. And we were like looking at each other, and everything was on the click. So Thomas had to turn off the click right at this moment because everything was, uh, all over the place. And so I told John, what did you do that? And he told me, I don't know. I just felt like it. I was a little, because the Rebirth of Dissection was, there were really buses coming from Norway, Finland, and Denmark, and every magazines were there, every label were there, the people from Chile, from Japan, and it was a big deal, So that he improvised, he was feeling good, I think.
Yeah,
So
because that was going to be another point I was going to make. Because with the Rebirth of Dissection videos and stuff, it still sounds really natural.
yeah,
Still
he
sounds
was,
really, really
he was,
natural.
he
And
was. I never felt that in another band, never. Uh, To play that natural every day and not think about, we just focused on other things than just what we were playing, and that was awesome. That was magical at sometimes.
all right, top three Dissection songs to play live.
Okay, Soul Reaper I named earlier, so I will take this again. I enjoy playing Black Dragon, I must say, because of the groove. Um, and then I would say I hesitate between Samberlane and Handload, but I would take Samberlane because of the middle part.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like to play this part. And I love to play the entire track. I really like to play Dissection. So I still do today, just for me, but I still listen to Dissection's music a lot. I think John was a genius. For playing with the guy, he was really a genius. He could write music like nobody else, and he could play very well as well. He had a very good ear, and
Wasn't he also like classically trained on acoustic guitar as
not
well?
at all. He was not trained at all, John.
Okay.
Oh yeah, nothing. He took some lessons when he was 9 years old. He told me, but He didn't know what he was doing. I
Gotcha.
mean, on a theoretical point of view. He learned a few stuff from his brother Emil. He was a lot more into theory, Emil, and he taught his brother a few licks on for the solos and stuff. And that's why he could. But I think he was natural, man. He was just coming out, and John was like that. He was natural.
Cool. No, that's great because I was going to say like my three favorite dissection songs are Black Horizons, Somberlane,
Okay,
and Night's Blood.
okay,
Yeah. Those are for me like they're the dissection songs I like the most.
all right.
I think they're very very well written and I think Somberlane's my favorite and it's because of that
Yeah,
little saxophone.
Cumberland is a very, very good, well-written track. He was 16 years old when he wrote this track. I mean, I couldn't do it. I couldn't have written this kind of music at 16 years old. No, no way.
Yeah, and the music I was writing at 16 years old wasn't that complex either.
Not at all. I mean, where did it take it from? I mean, because back then there were not that many bands, and that was really a new thing. And I know he was friend with Euronymous and talked about it a few times. And he went to Norway a few times because he didn't live that long from Norway and stuff. But where did all this come from? I think it's a little spiritual, I would say, and that's the way I feel it, at least.
With Satyricon, going back
Yes.
to that, how how difficult was it picking up the Satyricon songs? And this is another thing that I wanted to ask as well. It's like the actual learning process for the songs back in the day. Because nowadays a lot of people make like guitar tabs for all of
Yes.
their music and then just present them and be like, hey, look, learn this. What was the learning process for learning all of the dissection songs and the Satyricon songs?
Oh, good question. I will start with the Satirican songs since you asked me first that. The my audition was in two times. And the first time I had to learn 11 songs. The second time more or less the same thing. So I had to learn between 22 and 23 songs in 2 weeks, only by ear. Everything. I found everything by ear. If Sati would see something that was not correct, he would tell me. But most of the time, I think I was right. I mean, there was a few details here and there where I was not, but most of the time, I was right. With dissection, the difficulty with dissection that I couldn't fucking hear the bass in Sunderland or fucking Storm. And I told John, what the hell is the bass in the mix? He told me, I don't know. And he told me, just play what you would play. Okay. So I came up with some parts sometimes that are a little different than on the album, especially on Soul Reaper. I remember John turning to me and what did you play? This? And I played a weird harmony thing. He told me, is it you that found this? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. And so that I like the way I play Soul Reaper actually on the bass because it sounded very well with the guitar. But I had to come up sometimes with the parts the way I would have played it. But if I would compare both, it felt very natural when I was playing in dissection. So I never had even the feeling of forcing myself to do so. And even today, when I do my playthrough on my channel, uh, it comes back like within minutes, and then I'm back on the thing again. It's like I never left it, you know. It really feels natural when I play dissection stuff, and I don't have to think much. Satyricon is a little more work on. We had to work on it, and it felt a little less natural, but that's also because of the music. It's a different music with different atmosphere, and you don't bring the same thing. But I found both interesting. Um, One is more based on the melody, atmosphere, kind of, and the other one was more on the in your face kind of playing. Even if with dissection we played quite aggressive sometimes when we played live, especially some rehearsals and some lives were really we were in good shape. sometimes. And you have to understand that what you guys see of Rebirth is the first gig we ever played together.
Oh,
But
the first
yeah,
ever gig. Oh shit. Okay, I didn't realize. Okay, okay. Wow. All right.
and we played a lot. I can tell you that we played a lot better at the end of the tour than we did, of course. Any band would uh, at the first gig or at the beginning, for sure. Uh, that was easy, man.
All right.
At the end of the tour, yeah.
And isn't this? I think this is like another bit of trivia with the live rebirth is that because you guys were supposed to open with Black Horizons, but like on all like the CDs and stuff,
Yeah,
called Night's
that's
Blood.
right.
And then
Yeah,
what happened was is when Black Horizon started, like John's guitar wasn't working, so
that's
it was
right.
like what the fuck, and then when it was dun 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 dun
It's
dun
the guitar
dun
take,
dun,
I think, that fucked up.
yeah,
It's the guitar take that fucked up. But the pressure was, this gig was very, very special. The atmosphere was tense and the pressure was very heavy and man, you could feel it in the air. It was tough. And I think everybody was under,
yeah,
and there were cameras all over the place and stuff. And he fucked up. He fucked up, but he fucked up on the where he shouldn't have fucked up. So, but he came back after. I felt alone at this moment, I must say, because I was I could only hear the drums and my bass, and I was like, "Holy shit, man, what's happening?" And but he came back after a while.
yeah. And then when you see the clips online, it actually, in the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad. It might
No,
have got like a million times worse in the moment, especially there, but when you listen
yeah,
back, it's kind of like it kind of like heightens a stronger level of anticipation, let's say.
yeah, that's
And
right.
it's kind of like,
But,
oh,
I mean, the pressure was so heavy, man. Sharon Osbourne called our manager as well. Did you know that?
Sharon Osbourne, what?
Yeah,
Why did she call your manager like that?
because
What's the story?
she wanted dissection on the Ozfest.
Oh, dope. Okay, okay.
So back in the days, and unfortunately, with John's record, we couldn't come in the US, but that's why we couldn't do it. But it would have been yeah, something.
The learning process of Satyricon songs. So in those, because that was a time the Age of Nero just came out as well. So the songs you would have been performing live would have been like Black Crow and a Tombstone.
Yes.
Um, were you guys playing like they play like
Oh,
King almost every show now?
Wolfpack and so on. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did they do Fuel for Hatred during the
sometimes Satir would change it from one day to another. We had some kind of, I don't know, maybe 20 or 25 songs that we knew that we would work prior to the tour, and then Satir would choose which one we would play on the day.
I see, gotcha. And this was when Satyricon were tuned to D standard as well, right?
I think so. Yeah, D's, yeah. In dissection, we were in D
Hmm.
for the rebirth.
Oh, that was another thing I was going to ask because I think all of the albums before Rain Chaos were in E, and then Rain Chaos was in D standard. Um,
Real Chaos was in different tunings and went up down to C, I think, on Dark Mother Divine or so.
oh, for real, I had no idea.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, it was very low tuning, um, and it was because we wanted it to sound very dark,
Hmm. Yeah.
very yeah,
And
black.
do you also find that different tunings give off a different mood?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, in the From Chaos stuff, that's E standard?
No, E432
Okay. Okay,
or
okay.
A432.
Oh, okay. That's interesting because that's the same tuning that De Mysteriis Dom Satanas is in.
That's right. And on Highway to Hell from AC/DC and on many others.
So why did you decide to use this tuning?
Well, good question. First of all, it's Nazi German that decided that 440 was the standard, and I thought, okay, And then I heard that on 432 hertz, some of the energy channeling by the music could work a lot better when tuned on this frequency, which I found and sounded interesting. Plus, it's right in between D sharp and E. It's right in between, which I like because it's not too soft because I'm a bass player, so I'm used to play very hard on the strings, and when I play guitar, I attempt to play too hard for sure. And I use 1046. The pressure you get on the strings would be nice that way as well. So it's many reasons. Three main reasons why.
Okay, that's very curious because yeah, not many people are doing that as well. So
No, I'm not like, I mean, I want it to be different. I
hmm,
know that some people will hate it because of that. I know it already. But I read somewhere that if as an artist you put something out and you don't have haters, it's because you didn't do it right. And I believe in that. I think you need to have people that will help you and you have people that will love you, and that's because you did your thing right. I think nowadays people don't have much courage when it comes to, you know, trying new things and trying to play differently and have another production and another way of doing things. Back in the days, I thought people were a lot braver when it came to doing new things. And Black Sabbath, when they came with their stuff, I mean, people were screaming at them and telling them they were nuts, and but they kept on playing whatever. And I like that mentality. And I think we are losing it nowadays, and that's a shame.
hmm. Yeah, and I because that reminds me of another thing from the Geezer Butler book that when Dio was their singer, they had
Yeah.
so many haters and people were just telling him to get
Oh
off the
yeah.
stage and bring Ozzy back and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think it comes to a lot now to kind of playing it safe in a
That's
way.
right.
And
That's right.
that's fine, but artistically, not as exciting sometimes.
Safe is, yeah, it's fine, but that means that you are forcing yourself not to do certain things or not to play certain things because the mass doesn't like it. Isn't it why we created rock and roll from the beginning and black metal especially? I mean, this movement is against the mass and against mainstream. It's a small mainstream, but it's a system. So if you do everything to get into a system, to me, you're losing the
Mm.
spirit of doing something against. And that's what rock and roll is all about. Lemmy used to say, we play rock and roll because, man, Lemmy was a punk, kind of, he didn't give a shit about what anybody would say and tell him to do. And that's the idea. I think uh, Dark Throne did what they did to show a middle finger to the mainstream, and we shouldn't lose that. At least, maybe it can evolve, but we shouldn't lose this spirit. At least that's
Mm.
the way I see it.
Yeah,
And trying to force yourself to fit into a style, I don't like this idea. I don't like it. I think when it comes to creativity and when it comes to courage, it's not noble. It's not the right way.
yeah, I agree. I agree because it's so much more fulfilling to try and have more of your own identity in the music. This kind of I th yeah, because there was two words that popped into my head when you were talking about like the spirit of things. It's kind of stubbornness and
Yeah,
rebellion.
that's right.
This kind of thing. So that's like with like if I were to use like my own band as an example, it's like when I was recording the most recent EP a few years ago, I stumbled on a way of writing guitars that I hadn't heard anyone do before. And I was like, okay, what if I take this idea and use this kind of bass line as the focus for all new songs?
Yeah,
Like, will I get the Ereskigal sound, the band sound? And it turned out I kind of did in a way. So now so then I was like, oh shit, I've kind of unlocked this kind of not so much a secret, but this kind of way that was so unique to the sound of the band that just worked really well. And that's like the kind of way I want to try and build up on the guitars more. And it's a kind of more of a kind of it's based on more of an orchestral kind
Yeah.
of way of writing in a
Yeah,
way,
I have
rather
this feeling with from Chaos sometimes as well when I was putting stuff together, and I didn't do it on a theoretical point of view as well. I did it just by ear, like you were describing.
yeah.
So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, see, with my one, it was kind of a bit more theory based.
Okay.
Because it's like, yeah, like I know enough music theory to be like, okay, if I can get this kind of sound, I know what I need to do. Have two guitars playing mostly the same thing, but like harmonized in the right way.
Yeah.
That's gonna have like a more kind of orchestral string section sound. And I was like, damn, that's got to go in. That's got
That,
to be how I write with this project now because it was such a unique
that
sound. So
for sure.
that was the thing, and it took me years to try and come up with these ideas. Like I toyed around with like harmonies and stuff, but actually using like harmonies as like the backbone of the guitar writing process.
Yeah,
That's how I got that's how I got like not only the heaviness but the clarity. Because that's what I found. Because if you're running an Engel, an Engel's already a pretty high gain amp, and
it is.
I
It is.
don't I
Uh,
don't keep the gain above like what is it, one, two. So the gain I keep like maximum three on the
oh, yeah, yeah. That's what I do. I mean, on my dark metal pedal, it's a medium distortion pedal. I would set my distortion at 2 o'clock maybe, not more. And then I have a little bit of distortion on my amp as well, but not much. Like the breaking point of distortion, on the amp, and then I use my pedal to adjust.
For sure, yeah. And then that's one thing that I was really, really struggling with, which was trying to get this brutality and the clarity from playing all of these low chords.
Yeah,
So I had to find a way to try and solve that. And then, once you get two guitars in the room and you're playing in sync with the guitar player, and it's just like, okay, everything just locks in. It's going back to like that thing with like clarity and making sure there's space for things. If everything is like always up here, maybe it works if you t bring it down a bit, and then
yeah.
that could just kind of instead of like your if you want it to be here, if you bring it down a bit, your brutality could end up being here.
For sure. It depends what you want to express in your music. Some bands need to express. I mean, I'm thinking about Nail, for example. It's very hardcore based kind of thing, but it's very brutal, heavy stuff. But if they had a cleaner sound, it wouldn't work. It all depends on what you're trying to express. I mean, depending on the atmosphere, the melodies, the way your chord progression work on your music, and the way you pick, many things come to the picture on how much distortion you need to use to make your music sound right.
Yeah.
That's an art. Some producer can do it very well. I'm thinking about Joe Barresi. I love his work and I love the way he works.
Hmm.
And the guy came to see us with Satyricon. That's what I was thinking about it. In LA. He didn't know, but I studied his work at university actually, and the way he was recording because he does stuff like nobody else. When after the gig, he came to see me and told me, "Man, never stop playing because you're right hand man. I watched you playing the entire gig. I was the best compliment I had during my time in Satyricon. He didn't even know anything, but he just came up to me and told me this, and it was great.
Talking about like the arrangement as a whole and making things sound heavy, without gain. If you take something like like the Jimi Hendrix experience, for
Yeah,
example. Yeah.
yeah.
If we take Foxy Lady, for example,
Mm.
yeah, bam, 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 like the guitar tone is in itself, it's a strat tone, it's quite thin, it's very, very kind of present.
It is.
With the bass playing, it's because it had so much kind of like attack to it in a way that it just made the guitar sound even bigger. And then it's the same thing that Geezer
Now,
Butler did as well.
Pantera is a good example on what you
There,
should do to make your fucking guitar sound heavy. Play bass, correct, and then your guitar will sound heavy, and that's what he did on every fucking Pantera record and live. I mean, Rex is very tight and plays very, and and that's why the guitars are so heavy, because of the bass.
Yeah.
It's very compressed and very heavy. I think it's more or less the same stuff than I use, but with a compressor in front of it.
Hmm. Yeah, and that was another thing as well, because like with that song, like all I remember, like when I was like getting into like heavy music, I remember 5 Minutes Alone by
Yeah,
Pantera coming up. Yeah, you see the music video, da-da-da, da-da, you see Dimebag playing and doing his thing, and you also see Rex doing his thing, and then there's that one bit where do do da da do da da do da 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 da. There's a bit in the song where the bass just breaks down,
yeah,
and it
that's
just
right.
it's so
It's
heavy.
very tasteful. Very, I think he's very underrated, Rex Brown, and he's an awesome bass player. Very good bass player. Very
I
good.
I agree, and
Very good sense of groove. Very good sense of melody. Very tight. Very aggressive. Very tough playing as well. He plays tough,
yeah,
and
and his bass sound is just right,
that's right.
right for
You're correct.
Pantera. It's so complimentary.
What a natural talent
Yeah,
Dimebag was as well. It was very natural. He didn't think much. He just played. No.
yeah,
Natural player as well. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And
Yeah,
like,
well,
and in most of the interviews and stuff, he's just like, I don't know, I just play, or I was drunk when I did that.
that's right. That's right.
And that's the thing. I was discussing this as well. Like, I think it was on the previous Black Metal Legends episode with Hordenrife. Like, we were talking about like playing and just how important playing is to just
Yeah,
become a to becoming like good at your instrument because
of
it's like
course.
yeah you can just like mess around on your guitar every single day, yeah,
Yeah,
then somewhere down the line you can be like, oh crap, I can actually play this thing. Whereas if you kind of take it as like a more kind of, oh, I'm going to practice 4 hours on this one day, and then oh, 2 weeks out I'm going to practice 4 hours on this one day, it's not as good as just being like, oh, let's just pick up the guitar and let's just play. You
mm,
know, that will always outweigh, to me anyway, like regiment, like strict regimen over a longer period of time, as opposed to small things daily.
for sure.
And you can just tell, like that was part of the thing, like like how we were talking about like passion,
Yeah,
how like dissection was everything, musicians kind of thing. Like you guys just playing music because you like playing it, and that's
oh
part
yeah,
of what it needs to stem from. To get good at your instrument, you have to play your instrument, whether it be guitar, bass, drums, the flute, or whatever.
for
And
sure.
and as long as you enjoy playing it and just keep playing it.
You need to listen. I mean, I'm that kind of musician that believe in listening a lot to others and different styles as well. It doesn't matter, even if you play black metal. I know that many bands in Scandinavia listen to all kinds of music, even if they play very hard music. It doesn't matter. You can incorporate what you absorbed and let it out the way you want it afterwards, and nobody will notice. But it will bring you sometimes inspiration, sometimes other way of thing harmonization, other way of thing rhythm, groove. When I listen to jazz and stuff, it brings me something for my music as well. That's what I'm trying to say, to understand how the theory works and
For sure, yeah, of course. Like growing up, like before I was even getting into music, I was listening to a lot of like gangster rap and hip hop, and
mm,
also video game music, and just playing like PlayStations and stuff. And that made me realize like two things, just subconsciously. One, the need for a good groove.
mm,
Yeah, because good hip hop is groovy. Yeah, like these old
yeah,
like the Dre beats and stuff, from like the Chronic and stuff. But also like the composition from like video games and stuff,
oh
and
yeah.
how having like you can start off with a simple idea, but just build up upon that, and then you've completely elevated.
I would love to work on movies
Mm.
and do horror movies. I love the yeah horror soundtracks. Horror music from the 70s is great, man. It really back then they knew how to do stuff. And I did a cover kind of thing. I started exactly like the soundtrack, but then I got inspired by the soundtrack and did my own thing for the rest of the track. Like, yeah, another part. That was not meant to be at the beginning, but that's the way it came. just as you say, when jamming, when you play and you jam, things start to happen, even for inspiration. Not only, of course, it will help you to work on the theory and the technique, and it will bring you to where you want to go if you work hard enough. But sometimes it can be a scale or a melody that, oh shit, and it gives you an idea, and then you work on something. I mean, I find my inspiration everywhere. Sometimes it can be a melody I hear, or sometimes when I play more, I like atmospheres a lot, and that's why I like black metal quite early, because that's what I like in black metal is the atmosphere all the time. But some heavy metal tracks are pretty good with that as well. In Maiden or Priest or Thin Lizzy, I love Thin Lizzy as well.
Another song that captures atmosphere really well is Black Sabbath's Black Sabbath.
Yeah, it's probably the beginning of, yeah, certain things. Yeah, Black Sabbath started, I think, influence many, many, many bands and styles. Black metal, death metal, heavy metal, thrash metal, you name it.
Uh,
Black metal. Black Sabbath were really, really important for the community, the metal community in general. That's
I
for
I agree, man. And it was just it was just magic. It was just magic, when you first
magic.
listen to that, three notes,
Yeah,
notes, and you've created a legacy that's spawned, when did Black Sabbath start? Like
for sure.
late 60s, and then Paranoid came out in 1970.
Yeah,
So even 50,
incredible.
54, like 54 approximate years.
And talking about courage, you needed shits a lot back then if you wanted to put out that kind of music. I can tell you that because it was a lot tougher than nowadays. And I read also Ozzy's biography, and he talks about it a little bit in his book. And even his father didn't understand anything of what he was doing. Nobody understood what they were doing. So it's tough time.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like it reminds me of that line in Back to the Future. It's like where he's like really like wailing on the guitar, and he's like, "Haha, sorry, you guys might not be ready for that, but your kids are gonna love it." And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, right.
It's all of that, of course. And I guess we should also talk about your YouTube channel as well,
Sure.
because I think it's such a great resource for bass players.
Thank you.
And we really should have talked about this earlier because I think that there is a space for more black metal bass on YouTube.
For sure.
And I think that
I agree.
there's a lot of value in what you're doing on the
Thank you.
channel. And what are you working on YouTube wise on the channel?
I started this channel to, first of all, I was thinking to try to do covers of bass players that I thought were underrated, and there are plenty. I'm thinking about Bob Daisley, Jimmy Payne that played with Rainbow, or The Osbourne, or Gary Moore. I did really, really were important for the community and didn't get the credit they deserve, I thought. So I did some covers at the beginning about that, but quickly, of course, I also had people asking me for dissection playthroughs, and I started to do that. And then I evolved the whole thing on a more educational, like a more teaching or showing certain things, because people were demanding also this thing. So right now I'm doing playthrough or covers where I explain why I play this or that in details, so that people understand a little more, yeah, bass playing in metal and in black metal as well, and the importance of it. Because on an album like De Mysteries Dum Satanas, if you didn't have the bass the way it was played, I can guarantee you that it wouldn't sound like De Mysteries Dum Satanas. That's for sure.
I agree.
That's in one example, but that's a good example. And there are plenty of those examples, if I look at it. So I'm trying to, yeah. It has different purposes. There is the playthrough of dissection, because many people don't know how it was played back then, and try to show them. because there is interest in it. And then there is also the educational part of thing that I trying to bring the bass, the interest of the bass back as well, because it's an interesting instrument if you play it right and if you have the right mentality. Don't play bass like a guitar. It's not a guitar, it's a bass, you know what I mean? And you need to think like a bass player and not like a guitar player. I can play both, but I know very well what I should do as a bass player and should do as a guitar player, you know? And I know very well that that's not the same instrument at all. But I feel that bass as a whole became less and less a fashion thing, you know? People are less and less interested into it. So if I can bring a little more interest, and some people sometimes wrote me that, oh yeah, since I saw you doing that, I took my bass again, you know? And that's why I'm doing that. I'm not doing it for another reason.
For sure, yeah, and it's I think that's great because I've been saying for years like more justice for bass and black metal playing.
Yeah,
It
I
is
think so.
because there's so much cool things that you can do with it, and there's so much more bass in music than people realize.
For sure.
Like even Death Crush, for example. If you take like Chainsaw Gutsfuck,
Take
or even
freezing move
Brice
in the
Leclercq,
middle part. And I mean, if you don't have the bass, you don't have freezing move. I like to play with major minor. I stole this from Gilmour.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, Gilmour loves to do that. Um, you switch between minor and major, and it gives this weird kind of color atmosphere, you know, that I like.
yeah, because if I grab my bass, hopefully it's in tune. This is my bass, by the way, Dean ML bass. I
Okay.
I wish it was a five string. Um,
Yeah, I wish I had a five string. I would like to in the future play more of Rain Chaos because I didn't do anything besides Macali, I think,
hmm.
and it was the version live. But since I didn't do it because I don't have a five strings, like you said, and because I played with the five strings on Rain Chaos, and we went down to C tuning, so I cannot. It will sound like I cannot do it on the four strings. It won't. It will be like the spaghetti effect. But I will put my hand on the five strings one day, and I will do the Black Dragon and all these
Yeah,
tracks.
I think that would be really great if you
Yeah,
get those, like
I will.
covered.
I will do that,
Yeah,
and
and
I
it's
have the plan to do it.
and going back to your major minor thing, because if we take like a
Yeah,
more minor scale there, but then you could
yeah,
throw the harmonic minor. But if you want to throw like a major note in there as well,
that's right.
and then
That's
if
right.
you want to add like a little bit of
And
Phrygian dominant in there as well, but you can do all of those things on
another thing,
bass when
and
the guitar player is playing one chord.
that's right. The key, the root note only. Most bass players, not most, but many just play the root note, and that's it. And that's boring, boring as hell. There is plenty of things you can do around it, plenty.
Of
Um,
course. Yeah.
and that's the same thing. Often people ask me or telling me that I play with a pick and it's wrong, and what the fuck is that? Fingers or pick? My students ask me often, should I play with a pick? No, you play with what you feel most comfortable with, and that's the most important. I mean, Steve Harris has fingers like iron, so if you hear him playing, he goes very fast and he's right there in the mix. So if he can do it, you can do it. Of course, playing with a pick makes you cut through the mix easier. That's for sure.
Hmm.
But if you want to play with fingers because you feel better with it, it's good. And it's the same with dissonance. I like dissonance.
Hmm.
I think dissonance is very interesting when it's done well. And I try to incorporate dissonance in my music sometimes as well. It's in purpose. If you hear something weird, it's in purpose.
Hmm.
Really, it's not because I didn't hear it. But
Yeah, and dissonance is one of those things that you have to be very, very careful with because
yes,
if everything is dissonant, then it
yes,
kind of sounds like your music is kind of doing that. But then
that's right.
it's
if it's done well, you have this evil feeling directly
Yeah.
that pops up, kind of, you know. And I like this. Yeah, I like this feeling sometimes. So that's why
Yeah.
I incorporate this in
Yeah.
some.
And and also with too much distance, you lose this kind of solidarity, like that's harmonic solidarity, let's say, because it's like, for example, going back to guitars again, if you've got a power chord, solid
Yes,
sound, but as soon
yes,
as you,
that's right.
yeah, but then if your whole riff is just,
Mm.
it might sound okay to a point, but if your whole song is like that, then it's hard for people to kind of draw in because I like catchy riffs kind of thing. Like if we take like the Dissection have a ton of catchy riffs.
Oh yeah, and Alone is one of them. I mean, you were talking about Storm earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a catchy riff, man.
Exactly. Dum, brr, bum, brr, bum. Even just that rhythm is
Yeah,
catchy.
that's right.
And even with like the Satyricon stuff, they've got a ton of catchy riffs as
Oh
well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Filth Grinder, for
yeah,
example, of Revel
yeah,
Extravaganza. Mother North, for example, very, very
yeah,
catchy.
for sure, for
King,
sure. The
yeah.
whole Nemesis Divine album is very catchy, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. And even just like the first two chords.
And Volcano as well, I think is the most catchy of all.
Yeah, well, Volcano's got some great stuff on there. Fuel for Hatred's on Volcano, isn't it?
Yeah,
Fuel.
yeah.
Yeah. So good.
I like Possessed a lot on Volcano.
Oh, see, it's been so long
I
since
like
I've
to
listened to
play
Volcano.
this track as well. Yeah.
It's been so long since I've listened to Volcano because it's not on Spotify.
Oh, okay. I
One of
didn't
the,
know.
it's one of the few
I did,
Satyricon albums that are not on Spotify, and it's just like,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
So, if I were to listen to Volcano, I need to listen to it on YouTube or like get it ripped from YouTube onto like MP3, then get it on my phone, and then when I'm in the car, put on the Bluetooth and start driving it. That's why it's been so long since I listened to the album. But I really enjoyed Volcano as well, and yeah, I think it's important to have like some level of catchiness to your riffs as well because it kind of just makes it a bit more. Well,
Catchiness is not a problem if you do an authentic and real music. You know what I mean? Catchiness is
yeah,
not a problem. Melody is not a problem as long as you are authentic and real and raw.
yeah, yeah. I
And
agree.
I mean, there is a lot of catchiness in Dark Thrones.
Oh
You,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
for sure. And
Uh,
but if it's played the right way and with the right attitude and the right mentality, it goes very well.
100%.
Yeah,
I was thinking of Triumphant Gleam of Panzerfaust.
yeah,
See, like it's important to have yeah, like we're not talking about like yeah, of course, like if you want to go, by all means, if you want to make like the next like Justin Bieber song or whatever, that kind of catchy kind of thing, by all means, fine, you do it. But if you're gonna do something like that, make sure it's from at least from our perspective,
for sure.
make sure it's 100% like authentic. Not
It needs
not
to have certain elements for sure, but when it comes to metal, but
yeah.
as long as it's not it's not to sell out when your catchiness is for the right reason.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you do it to earn money, then it's shit. If you do it for because it's right for the music and it's right for the track, but then it's all good. And you will just be
Yeah. And what's next for you then? Because you've got From Chaos now. And
yes.
then what's like the future plans with the band? Are you looking to take it live? Is it going to be a studio project?
That's
What's
a good question. I don't know. It will depend how people will react to it. Um, if there is interest, I was thinking not to have a conventional live gig, but more a one-time thing, either on a big festival or on a remote location, depending on if I have the money for it or not, and the interest for sure. But I would like to do a one-time thing. I mean, or even film the rehearsal kind of concert that I would put out on DVD or whatever, or online. But not touring that much. I'm not that kind of. I don't like touring that much, to be honest. I don't like to be surrounded by 14 other guys 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I get creeped out because of that. I don't like to have too many people around. I don't, and I love to play live and I love to be on stage, but I hate before and after, you know. That's why I'm not touring that much anymore. So if I would do a live gig, I would do proper live gig with good sound and good production and, you know, something with more quality. But beside that, I want to write another album, and I already stopped thinking about which way I will be taking for the next album. Of course, it will be similar to the first one, but I'm trying to, think about the next album now, focusing on writing new music soon, which I love to do. I love to write music. I think it's the best.
Hmm.
It's very creative and very, I don't know, create something of from nothing and have an entire world, kind of, you know. I wanted an album where you had this feeling like the first emperors, you know, or anthems was like this. When you start the album, you're like going through a journey, you know. And I wanted an album a little bit like that, like back in the days. We lost that as well a little bit, and that's normal because the album format is less and less popular. But I think there are some people that like this format, and I think we will get back to the primitive stuff sooner than we think. I really believe so. When you see cassettes and vinyls that are coming back now as hell, as never before, it's because people are tending to go back to the old stuff.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are finding that now that they want more authenticity. They
Yeah,
want that kind of thing. They want some people
that's
say,
normal. That's logical.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
And even in like the sound of the music as well. Of
for sure.
course. And what about with like YouTube and your bass lessons? What's like your plans for that? Well, of course, you're saying the dissection covers. Um, what else would you like to release out on YouTube?
I will keep on doing covers and work around my playthrough. And then I will keep teaching bass as well. Um, I like to teach bass because I have a very practical approach and an approach based on less theory but more fun. Because I think when you learn an instrument, if you're only working on scales and tabs and shit, it gets boring after a short while. You already have plenty of your day job, you know, and plenty of duties you have to do. If you, on top of it, you need to learn a practical, theoretical thing and not have fun. I think many students will give up
Mm.
unless, you know. And I try to work on the stuff my students listen to and then try to bring them to make them work with real music on you know tempo or techniques. But since I know how it's played, kind of, I choose a music that will fit the student to make it train the thing I want him to train and make him evolve. And I always tell them to listen to as much music as they can. And I think it works because it gives good results and even the bass playing becomes fun and it's not boring. So they keep on training and they keep on getting better. And plus they see they get better. And on top of it, everybody's is
For
happy. I
sure.
think.
Yeah, yeah. And then once they've found that they've got some kind of creativity in them, it's kind of like, oh shit,
Yeah,
then their whole, the pictures become colored. The
that's right.
blank canvas gets
I
its
try to
strokes of pencil.
I try to give tips also on how to compose music or bass lines and sometimes some of them are having their own projects or bands, and they're asking me a few tips for how to do things.
Mm.
So it's, yeah, I'm planning on keep doing that. And then if there are things along the way, we will see.